previous videos, we have built an application that connects to web services to get a list of employees to be displayed inside our Xamarin Forms applications. This list of employees will be shown in a list view, as you see here, for our three platforms, Windows Phone and Android and Windows 8 application. Those employees will be shown using the list view. That list view will display all these employees the same way. So you see here, they all have the same colors, they all have the same font size, they all have that same opacity. Now the purpose of this demo is to change and customize the rendering of these items inside the list view. Why? Because we have, let's imagine that we have a requirement to change, let's say, the background color of the employees that works in the finance department. So what we want to build is something that looks like this application here, where you see there is different colors for the background items for each employee. So you see here the employees working in the finance department have the blue colors, while all the other employees have different color. So how can we make this application in Xamarin Forms? So the way to do that is to change the data template, the default data template inside the list view. The list view, as we have seen in the previous videos, is using let's say a static data template and a unique data template for the rendering of each employee. Now we will go and override that default behavior and make the list view choose between different data templates. So instead of having one data template, the list view can choose between two or more data templates to show inside the items of that list view. And how the list view will choose between item 1 or item 2, that's for the developer to make his choice and to make the list view choose the right one to show in the list. So let's get started. Let's start by this list view where all the employees are shown the same way, and let's override the behavior of the list view so that it shows the employees working in the finance department will be shown in a different way. For that, we'll be using a concept introduced in Xamarin Forms 2.1, call it DataTemplateSelector. This one will have the responsibility to override the mechanism used by a list view to choose which data template to use to view a certain item inside that list view. So if you take a look at the code here, we see for the typical use or the typical code for a list view uses an item template here. This item template is unique and will be chosen to render all the items inside the list view. So that for this reason, because there is only one data template, all the items inside the list view will have the same will be rendered the same way, so that they will be viewed the same way. Now let's get started and let's override this default behavior of the list view. So for that, the first thing to do is to create some other data templates. So instead of having one and only one data template, now the list view will have two or more data templates which it can choose from. So let's firstly go and create a new data template. For that, I'll go to my portable project, right click, select add new, and let's first of all add a new folder. This folder will contain our data templates. I call that folder UI, right click that folder, then select add, and now we'll add our data template. So if we go here to cross platform, actually there is no special template in this here for the data template. So I go and choose form XAML page, and I'll change its code to be to suit the one required by the data template. So I'll call this page, let's say, finance template. So this B will be used whenever the list view finds that an employee is or that an employee is from the finance department. So let's change this one, as it should be a data template. It shouldn't be a content page. Instead, it should be a view cell. So let's make it a view cell, and let's get rid of this default label. So as here I have changed it, this type here to a view cell instead of a content page. I should do the same for the code behind. So here you see in its code behind the XAML.cs file, it inherits from content page. Now as the view here now is view cell, I should change the content page to be view cell. So make sure that you have the same type here inherited by the type that the finance template inherits from is the same type you have it in your XAML code. So now we have so that we have fixed that. Now let's go and create our template inside this view cell. So I'll go to my main page and use or reuse this same code here, which have the stack layout in it. Let's copy it and let's reuse that code and change some other properties here. So let's say, for example, that my stack layout here will have a background color. Let's choose one of these colors. And here, by the way, if this list of colors is not enough for you, then you can go to the Google palette colors. You find it in this website. And from here you can choose between a wide range of recommended colors by Google. So let's go and choose, for example, this orange color, this red color, and I'll use that for my application. So now I have created the first template called finance template. Let's go to create the second template. I'll go to my UI folder, right click, add a new item, and here I'll add the second one and I'll call it, let's say, for example, it's HR template. So this template will be responsible for showing the employees working inside the HR department. So I'll do the same here. I'll change the content page to a view cell and also change that type in the code behind here, view cell. And here instead of that list view, I'll go and reuse the code from the finance template, and only here I'll go and change to another color. Again, I'll use the this palette colors. Let's choose light blue, for example. So now we have our two templates with different background colors, and there is some remark here. You see, for the label, I'm still using the binding to the name and to the department as the same way I have here in my main page here, because I am passing the employees list, so that the list view will go employee by employee, and for each employee it will pass it to a data template, so that when our data template here receives an employee object, it will be able to access its name and department properties. So now that we have created our data templates, now we'll go and implement the logic which will be used by the list view to choose which data template to associate with an employee. So let's go to our UI folder, click add class, and here let's call it custom data template selector. So again, this class will be responsible for choosing which data template to associate with its items. So this custom data template selector should inherit from a class called DataTemplateSelector. It's inside the Xamarin Forms namespace. So here, if you don't get that class, even when you write it completely with respect to the uppercase and lowercase, you might not, or actually Visual Studio might not recognize it. Why? That could be because you are using a version of Xamarin Forms that is prior to 0.1. So you should be using Xamarin Forms 0.1 or above to get this class. You can make sure or you can check the version of Xamarin Forms you are using by going to your solution, right click and select manage NuGet packages for solution, and you check the installed tab here, and you will get somewhere Xamarin Forms. Here you see that I'm using the version installed for my projects is the version 2.2, so that's above the version 2.1, so that I can get the data template selector object in my project. If you are using a prior version to 2.1, then you can go and update your version to the latest stable one. So once that's okay for you, now let's go back to our custom data template selector, and here I have or Visual Studio requires is asking me to implement an abstract member inside the data template selector. So let's go and implement that. Alt enter, implement missing members, and here the missing member is the method on select template. This method will be used by the list view to give the employee, and inside this code we can make the choice of which data template to use. So here, as I want to build that logic depending on the department of the employee, then I can get that employee here as a parameter of type object, and depending on its department I can choose between the HR template or the finance template. So let's first go and get that employee. So as this of type object, then I need to convert it to an employee. So let's say item as employee. So now I have get my employee. Now I can check if my employee is working on the department which is the finance. If he's working on the finance department, then I'll go and associate this or show this employee inside the finance template. This is where all the magic is done. So let's make it return a new data template, and this data template will have will use the finance template. So if my employee is working on the finance template, then I'll show that employee inside the data template which is the finance template. So here you see I'm associating that employee with this finance template, so that inside that finance template, remember again that we have here the binding of the name and department, so that this employee will be bound to the finance template, and then the finance template will find its name and department. So here it's like you are doing data binding. So now if our employee is not from the finance department, then we'll go and return a new data template and show that employee inside the HR department, type of HR template. So I hope this is clear here. So again, if my employee is working on the finance department, then I'll go and view it or render it inside a finance template. Otherwise, I'll view it inside the HR template. So here a couple of things to make this code better. Here you see I have this blue line. Here ReSharper is suggesting that I have to check if this employee could be null here, because this casting could give null if my item is not of type employee. So I have to check here if my employee is not null. So, and here, as I am using the recent the latest version of C#, then I can go and change this double check here, as here I'm checking for null, and if it's null, then I go and check for the value of the department. I can make it one single code, so I go and remove this one, and instead of doing checking the employee for null, then I can go after the employee and add the this mark here. So what this means is that first it will check if the employee is not null. If it's not null, then it will go and check the department. So that's equivalent to this syntax here. So that's one thing to to enhance. Then we have another thing to enhance here. Instead of creating a data template in each time, I'll go and create one that I will reuse each time I have the finance employee. So let's call it, it's of course type data template. Let's call it finance template, for example. And let's create another one and call it HR template, which will use the data template of type HR template. So now here, instead of creating a new data template each time I have a new employee, I can return the finance template, the instance I already have in my code. And the same here, I'll return the HR template. So now that we have created our data templates and used and implemented the custom data template selector, the object that will handle or that will choose which data template to associate with a certain employee. Now let's make our list view and use that logic instead of its default logic here. So I go to my main page, and inside this list view, now as I want to override this data template or this default behavior, I'll go and comment out this code. And instead of using this default data template, I'll go and make my list view use the logic that I specified inside my custom data template selector. So I'll go and make it use that logic and to override its default behavior by choosing here the item template. So I'll go and use static resource, and here of course I have to go and add that custom data template selector. So I'll go and add it inside my content page resources. And inside a resource dictionary, I'll go and implement that custom data template selector. So I'll copy it here. And now ReSharper will add the namespace for me. So here it's using the namespace Xamarin demo app.ui, which is the same we have here. Now to use it as a static resource, I'll give it a key. Let's call it custom data template selector. And come back to my item template. Now my item template will use the custom data template selector. So now let's run our application and see how it behaves. So now here it is, our application showing the employees working inside the finance department in the red color and the other employees in the blue color. So now we have overridden the default behavior of the list view to so that we can customize the rendering of each item inside that list view using the data template selector. So I hope this was useful for you, and join me in my next videos, and thank you.